Hello, everyone. Welcome to Horror Movie Massacre, presented by the Horror Syndicate. And before I forget, please, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube. I'm giving thanks to everyone who subscribes to our YouTube channel. We got 10 more subs till 1,500. Help us get there before tomorrow. That'd be nice. Our goal was 1,500 for the year. Uh, I am on hold with our internet provider for our web hoster, whatever, right now because the horrorsyndicate.com is having some issues. So I may have to jump out if she comes back on. But Seth is here with me, and we're gonna kind of talk about our. We're not going to get political about the Scream 7 news with Berrera and Ortega not coming back, but we are going to talk about it a little bit and the effect that it may have on the franchise, and maybe theorize or hope what we could see happening. Seth, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
So Seth just messaged the Horror Syndicate's Facebook group saying Ortega's news actually came before Berrera left, so she didn't leave because of her big sister, right? Tell us what you know.
That's according to Variety. I know that the big, um, the rumor since yesterday was that Ortega was going to leave because of Beretta getting fired, but according to Variety, which is a reputable uh, entertainment outlet, basically Ortega was really never going to be in part seven because of Wednesday season two, and that they were aiming for her to have a cameo in seven,
Mm-hmm.
but that's apparently off the table now. So I do believe maybe she turned down the possibility of doing a cameo because of Melissa getting fired. But this is according to Variety, so I know people believe what they believe. I got into it with someone earlier on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page, a little bit about what's reported as fact versus the rumors and the true reasons why things happen are happening. But yeah, just the last update I saw was that piece from Variety.
So without making it political, because we don't want to do that, we definitely would like you to hit the like button, like the video, share it, subscribe, because we're not getting political on this episode. But we are going to
No,
talk
we are.
about the effect of both. I mean, they are basically the main two actors from the last two films, and the core four broken up. It's gone. What does this mean for the rest of the cast? From the actually the last six movies, because Gail and Sydney, and I've seen a lot of people saying, open up the checkbook and pay Nev Campbell to come back. You and I have talked about possible other routes they should take. That we think they should take rather than just could. Um, but how do you think this is going to affect? I mean, we got a new director coming in this time, which he had nothing to do with Barrera's firing. It had everything to do with, and really, let me just ask. We're not going to get too political. Do you think that the reason for firing her was flimsy, or do you think it was warranted?
It's I mean that's the modern day thing, right? Um, with social media and especially with celebrities. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm surprised celebrities still have social media. To be honest with you, in this world where people will dig back 20 years um, to find stuff that you've said, so that you can lose your job. So I would say it does not. It doesn't surprise me that this happened. Uh, do I believe it should have happened? No. I'm against the whole cancel culture thing. I'm against the idea of just sort of I don't know, just hammering down on people about their different opinions. Like debates aren't really sort of welcomed anymore. It's like you have to have the right opinion, or you're gonna get hammered. So, um, I don't agree necessarily with the reason why it happened, but I do want to throw out there that now when I heard this news that Melissa Berrera was fired, I have to say I don't care. And what I mean by I don't care, it's not like one of those things where it's like, where someone could say, it's not one of those deals where it's like, I don't care because I hate Scream or anything like that. I like Scream. I like the whole franchise. I like Scream 5 and 6 perfectly well. But as far as those characters, I'm just not really all that attached to them. So when I say I don't care, I mean it in the sense of like, if they said, Melissa and Jenna coming back as Sam and Tara, I'd be like, all right, cool, whatever, don't care. And if they say they're not coming back, I'd be like, okay, I don't care. I don't have that same attachment to those characters like I do, Sydney, Dewey, Gail, Randy, Cotton. I could list off a whole other set of characters from the franchise that are like more than those two characters. And not to mention, I know it's going to have the same writers as Scream 5 and 6, but the idea that they're bringing in Christopher Landon, I feel like this could be a good thing, right? You got a whole different director now because the Radio Silence guys are busy on another movie. They are involved as producers of this, of course, but they're not directing. But you know, you got a whole new director who's also experienced as a writer, um, who's done some good stuff. Happy Death Day is a lot of fun. I thought Freaky was pretty fun. I liked his Paranormal Activity movie, the one that he directed. It's really the only one I really enjoyed out of that series. And I feel like this is an
Which one was
opportunity.
that?
The marked ones.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So there's a good opportunity here for just sort of a kind of a reset. I mean, really, you could say that part 6 was a decent end to the story of the Carpenter sisters. Um, and another thing is, it's natural that they've planned on trying to get Nev back for 7 since before 6 came out. And also, according to that Variety article that I referenced earlier, which if you don't mind sharing in the comments if people want to read it, but apparently they're opening up the possibility of bringing back Sydney and Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey's character, for part 3.
The sexiest man alive.
Apparently. So like I guess my position is that I don't necessarily agree so much in the idea of firing people for social media stuff, and I don't really care if these actors or these characters come back. Um, I'm I'm but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing a new direction with it. I think the Radio Silence movies, those two that they did, 5 and 6, were pretty good. And I'm just looking to see what Landon could bring and see if he can give some fresh blood, introduce new characters. And you and I have talked about this, Ray, about how in the world of Scream, the stab movies are so influential for some fucking reason that they make people psychotic. And the idea of Ghostface being being a mantle, like that anyone could put on. Like you could do a shitload of Scream movies set anywhere and everywhere across the country that don't necessarily have to connect to Woodsboro or those characters. You could just have someone just being influenced by Stab, as this series has done since part 2, part 3. So yeah, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who, for the most part, enjoyed the television show. I mean, it had its problems, and really, it's not great compared to the movies. But it explored the possibility of even not even just even well, let me backtrack. Even the fifth movie explored the idea of there are other people out there who are influenced by not just the stab movies, but even the events of what happened in Woodsboro, over the course
Mhm.
of all those years at Windsor College, and well, that's pretty much it. New York, I guess. Uh, but yeah, I think it's time. Like, I think 6 was a fitting end to everything Woodsboro. We didn't get Sydney back. Let Gail live her life. She lost two lovers
Yeah.
now, and the cameraman, if we're keeping track. And then move on. As I said in our
Mhm.
chat, you can find those masks in any five why not? Why does it have to be tied to Woodsboro? If you need a somebody, am I back? I don't know what just happened.
Oh, was that you? I thought it was me that was
It just
freezing
went
up.
completely black for me. The screen.
Oh, okay. I thought that was me
No, the
freezing.
whole
I was
thing
waiting for.
stopped for a minute. I'm getting so angry with the internet the last couple of days. I'm so
Yeah.
fucking fed up. But anyway, I was saying if you want a legacy character, use Kirby. She's an FBI agent. You know, have
Hmm.
her come in when the shit starts happening. There's new Ghostface killings somewhere else. Go to the Midwest. It doesn't have to be California or New York. Go to the Midwest. Or
Hmm.
go somewhere else. Go to Florida. We don't even know where Sydney lives. And I don't think he needs Sydney. I think Ghostface is enough. Bring us some fresh blood. I think that would be a great direction. I personally don't give a shit if Sydney comes back. I don't. Honestly, I think Melissa Berrera, Melissa is actually how you pronounce her first name. Found that out today. I honestly think she was one of the worst parts of the last two movies, and she was the lead. So take that for whatever you want. And Jenna
Yeah.
Ortega, I'm fed up with seeing Jenna Ortega everywhere. So good. I'm glad they're gone. Honestly, there was after at the end of 6. Where else are they gonna go with it? It's just gonna be a repeat. How about the only other way that I could see it making sense for her even coming back is if she is with the killer, and she just killed her career, so she is kind of a killer. How bad is my connection? Holy shit! Is
I
my
can't
connection
tell if
bad?
it's your connection. I can't tell because I have connection issues too. So I'm just gonna always assume it's me. But I mean, I agree with you.
It's
People,
mine.
yeah,
I've had it with the internet today.
yeah, it sucks, man.
Between the website and whatever's happening here, I'm about to fucking throw in the towel. Seriously, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't even fucking do anything.
Sorry, man.
I don't know if it's my computer or if it's my stupid internet, which I actually unplugged everything and restarted it when I got home. And I'm not using the internet on my phone, so I don't know. You
Yeah,
talk. I'm fucking frustrated.
yeah. And another thing too is, I mean, there's a lot of overreaction to this shit too. It's like I wasn't a Scream fan group, and I had to leave today, and it's not like an airport thing. I didn't announce that I just left. But just like there's so many people that are just so pissed off about this. There's so many people who are talking doom and gloom for the series, which I don't understand because I don't think that these two are key characters. I mean, we've moved on from if we can move on from Sidney Prescott, we can move on from the Carpenter sisters. Um, and I've seen people say that they're gonna protest Scream Seven and all that, and it's that, which is shit I've heard before. I mean, a lot of people said that they were gonna protest Scream Six because of the whole Nev Campbell situation, and that ended up being the one of the highest grossing in the franchise since Part Two. Um, but it's just kind of funny to me, just the amount of overreaction to it, as if these two actresses and these two characters are like the most integral thing to the series, and I don't get it because, um, not saying that they're awful, and this is nothing personal against them, but like, um, uh, Melissa, or however you say that her name is
Manisa.
pronounced, yeah, she's not very good as an actress.
I don't
At
think she
least
is at all.
at least from what I've seen in the Scream films. I mean, maybe with different material and other movies, maybe she's great. But I will say, she did better in Part Six than she did in Part Five. And I remember being a thing that I think I pointed out when we did our discussion on Part Six earlier in the year. Um, but I don't think she's that great. And I just don't. I think the whole Billy daughter storyline is not spectacular either. It's a little too corny, in my opinion. Um, it I just don't believe that she's automatically psychotic because her dad was. I just don't buy into that bullshit.
It's nature versus nurture.
Right? Yeah. I mean, but she wasn't raised by him. Then like I don't know. Like I just don't buy into that shit. And so I never really, and, the whole thing on the hallucinations was dumb. So it's like in a lot of ways, like I'm just fine with all this.
Yeah, the hallucinations of her dad in a way that she's never seen him before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't like. I never liked that. Like, it was cool seeing, them bring him back a little bit here and there, but it was kind of bullshit. You find out that that's Billy's daughter. It's like, oh, give me a fucking break. You
Yeah.
know, it's I don't know. I like the movies for the most part. I
Hmm.
like Six a lot actually, but
Yeah.
fuck, man. The daughter thing, it's tired. That shit's tired. Familial connections it's tired. It's a tired trope at this point. It's been tired since 1993 and Jason Goes to Hell. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Um, but and like the one thing fans have been clamoring for is Stu to come back. That's the one thing I think this could potentially ruin. I don't think that was part of the plan ever. But I think that's probably the thing that is potentially ruined for this whole thing is Stu coming back if they did not continue this arc. But let me tell you, I don't want to watch a movie where Randy Meeks' niece and nephew are the leads. No offense to them. I don't like. I honestly, the new cast, I don't care for any of them. The one character that I kind of liked died in the fifth movie, Wes. He was like the only one I kind of liked. Everybody else can go fuck off because I don't care about them. I really hope that this is the end of this story arc and we move on past what happened in Woodsboro. Copycat killers. That's a real thing that happens. You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, this movie's a copycat of a real killing that took place in Florida in the 1990s or 70s, I think, in
Yeah.
Gainsboro. I think was Gainsboro. But yeah, I mean, there's there. This is a really great sandbox that you could play in. You can do
Yeah.
almost anything now because the end. Sydney is getting her happy ending. I hope because they don't need to bring her back to die. That's dumb. Let's not do that ever.
Yeah.
And Gail, let her have a happy ending. Let her be over. And as you said, show her on TV. Good enough.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think that the end when Sam drops the mask, her dad's mask, and on top of that, we had that great shrine to every single Scream movie ever made. That was the perfect way to end the series. You got so many things from each movie in this movie. Sure, the villains weren't the greatest or anything like that, or bad guys, the killers, whatever. But come on, this was good. We got a whole shrine to the whole franchise. And then she drops the mask and she's cool. And her and her sister, even though most of their wounds are holy shit, they got the fucking stat like they should have died, in my opinion, both of them, based on everything that they. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just let's go ahead and do something different. Let's all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's a killer. Nobody knows what's going on. They can't even say it's a serial killer. Somebody make it look like a suicide. Who knows? I think
Well,
there's plenty of things to do.
well, exactly. And you mentioned it earlier, and I think it would be a great way to continue on the series is with Kirby as a federal agent, and each movie is her investigating these stab copycats. All these cases of people being influenced by the stab movies,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be your thread to the original series without having to force other legacy characters back for no reason. Because I mean, even when they brought back Sydney and even Gale to an extent in part 5, it was just kind of like they were there, like it was just it just felt awkward. Like it didn't really feel like they belonged. Dewey had a purpose, and unfortunately they killed him off. But yeah, I think there's a way to do the series to move it forward,
Can you
and you
hear
don't
this music,
need.
by the way?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
The hold music. Sorry, I didn't. I'm on hold still.
That's fine. But yeah, you don't need the core 4 back at all.
No. If they move forward with Chad and Mindy being the leads, I'm gonna be very disinterested in this movie because they
Yeah, I'm
both
not
should have died also in the last couple movies.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure that they would because it seems like they're so directly tied to the story of the Carpenter sisters. I honestly feel like what they'll do is just kind of move away from that story and start fresh. I mean, again, I think that's a very good thing to do for the series. Is just to you got a new director, just bring in some new blood. Just
Nope. Hold on.
yep.
Hello.
So anyway, I know there's not really many people watching. Um, I'm just going to take a look at some comments here that we do have from Sean. Um, who says that if they don't bring Sydney back, the franchise is dead in the water. I don't necessarily think so. Yeah, I don't necessarily think so because again, I think it can continue on without Sydney, without the Carpenter sisters. It's just I think it's possible. I'm not a core 4 fan, but Tara and Sam are good characters. Chad and Mindy can't carry a movie. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of disagree about um Tara and Sam. I mean, they're decent characters, I suppose, but I just never got attached to them. Again, I could list dozens of other Scream characters who I like more than those two. As far as Chad and Mindy can't not being able to carry a movie, totally. I mean, they're supporting characters. I mean, I guess I could kind of see Chad, um, kind of being, you know, yeah, they're supporting characters. Really, at the end of the day, I know not a lot of people like Mindy because she's kind of annoying. Um, but I think Chad is decent. I think Mason Gooden is
How'd
was
she get out
actually
of the hospital?
yeah, I know. Well, how did both of them survive? I mean, they were both. I don't know. They shouldn't have
Plot armor, isn't
survived.
that the word?
Plot armor, yes. Um, Sean says bringing Stu back would be fairly stupid, and I love that man, but it would just be silly. Um, if they brought Stu back without Sydney, I think it'd be pointless. So, but I mean, yeah, the whole Stu thing. I'm just sort of I'm like, one hand it'd be cool, on the other hand it would be dumb. But I mean, I've seen more ridiculous shit from horror movies, I suppose. I'm not totally against it, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Uh, Jorhan Walsh, Scream Six provided a satisfying conclusion for Sam and Tara. I was hoping they would both return, but it still works. I was hoping they would flesh out the backstory, read their mother in Scream Seven. Yeah, it seemed like they were kind of like leading towards something with the mother. Um, what do you think, Ray? Do you think that they were gonna have some sort of twist where Sam and Tara's mom kind of maybe was in on some stuff from the
No,
original?
no,
No.
no, no. I don't like that idea at all. I've heard that thrown around a little bit. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. I don't want that's in my opinion that's a huge retcon. You know, if you're gonna do something like that, do it with Stu. And I've heard that one too. A friend of mine, I was looking for it on my phone. By the way, the issue is not resolved on the website. I'm getting angrier as the day goes on. Okay, he says Scream 7, this is way off topic. Scream 7 could center around a fictional brand new 4K release of Stab 3. Get back to this being super meta. That includes bonus footage never before seen. They could even have a physical media company like Scream Factory release it. Stab fanatics go nuts because it features an interview with Roman Bridger, the killer from Scream 3, and a behind the scenes footage of what happened on set and everything. And the footage leads to believe that there was actually a second killer, and sends a ton of real murder podcast crews into a frenzy to get more likes on their YouTube channels. So people keep looking for the truth just to get murdered. Some of that's
That's not a
cool.
bad
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea. I mean, because it's one, it's it's story wise and narrative wise, it's different, and at the
Hmm.
same time, it would provide a good mystery for the story of people. Because I've always said since 2000 that there's no fucking way that there was just one killer in Scream 3. No fucking way. I don't buy it one bit. So the idea of like a behind the scenes footage that kind of provides like never before seen footage that provides a clue to the fact that there was a second killer, and that being a jumping off point for that's actually a good idea. Tell your friend that's a good idea. I like that.
I will. It's interesting. And plus, I think, in my opinion, I think Roman Bridger is underrated as a killer. I like Roman, and it was that tired trope of, oh, all of a sudden Sydney's got a brother. Oh wait, there's the retcon. He started everything, and that may be so, and I'm fine with that. But like, as far as, I don't know why Stu and Billy would have added a third person into their scheme. Just because, unless she found out and got jealous of Sydney, even though Sydney was Billy's actual girlfriend. I don't know. That
Yeah. Oh,
theory bugs me.
yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm for that idea. I just thought that with the way that the mother was sort of mentioned in those two films, it was kind of like, are they planting the seed for something? you know. Um, yeah, but I mean, again, you're right. They've already done the retcon with Roman, which I didn't mind because I like how in part two they homage Friday the 13th with uh, Nancy Loomis, I guess her name is. Like
Billy's mother.
yeah, the vengeful mother, and then in part three they homage Freddy, with Roman being the bastard son of 100 studio executives, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I kind of dug that aspect of it, but again, I don't buy that there was only one killer in part three, and that's something they could probably explore, especially if they do. As the Variety article was sort of alluding to, if they do bring back Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey's character, you know.
You think it would be him?
No, I don't think it would be him, but just with it would have that tie into part three. If they would go with that, if they went into the whole second killer from Stab 3 thing, it would tie directly into part three by
Well,
bringing back a character from part three.
that yeah, that'd
Who
be
was
cool because
investigating?
Scream 5 kind of is very similar in ways to the first movie, and Scream 2 has similarities to the second movie. So Scream 7 should have
Yeah,
similarities to the third movie.
right.
I don't know. I don't know at this point. I'm on the hype train for going in a new direction, getting rid of all the characters from the past and being done with it. Scream 6 closed the book on all that, and then we'll start a whole new trilogy. And then in Scream 9, we'll do two movies, and then Scream 9 we'll bring everybody back. Because they'll forgive Berrera, even though I don't know if she's ever going to be hired again for anything, but Ortega will be finally able to come back, even though I don't really care about her or Mindy or any of those characters. I really like the thing about Scream 5 that I really was excited about was seeing Dewey, Gale, and Sydney, and it just Melissa Barrera got in the way. I mean, it
It's
had a great opening. It did. It
yeah,
had a great opening, and but the rest of the characters in the movie, it was like going back and seeing your old high school friends. That's what Scream 5 was like, with a bunch of dumb kids in the middle of it all.
yeah,
That's what it
and,
felt like. And Scream 6 was cool, seeing them grow a little bit as actors and being a little bit different. But like, man, they got stabbed the fucking shit out of each and every one of. They should all be dead. All four of them should be dead.
yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I thought it was a solid ending for that little story arc. The Billy Loomis story arc should be closed. Period. That's it. Billy Loomis that's done. They wrap it up by showing his mask on the ground. That's the end of that storyline. Let's move forward.
Again, yes, and that's the whole point of part six as well, is the whole idea of, even though I think the whole thing is stupid, the whole thing where is Sam gonna be just like her dad just because she's the daughter of Billy, but the her whole thing in that is where she's like, I'm not Billy Loomis, and she she got her closure, I think, at the end, and I think her dropping the mask of her story being done,
Mm-hmm.
of, of that question being done with, and fought with it all through, she meant out right and all that. And then just even at the end where she was originally going to show some mercy until Ortega gave her the nod, and she killed what's his face. But yeah, I think six was fair with the way that it concluded that character's story. So you don't need to go back to them.
No, I think just Woodsboro is it should the door should be closed. That's my opinion. What was the last few? Bring back Parker Posey. Uh,
Yep.
Jennifer made it. If Chad did,
She's
yeah, I
dead,
agree with you
wasn't
on
she?
that. even Mindy should have died. I think they all like watch the end of six closely because all of them got wounds that could have been mortal. Even Kirby. A secret second killer in Scream 3 would be great since Scream 6 is. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're on the same page, bro. I thought Sam was much more enjoyable in 6. Yeah, agreed.
She was,
But
yeah,
still, like,
definitely.
she's like a fucking piece of drywall, in my opinion. I agree. They could start something new. I think it's like I'm not saying it has to be like the show, but the show could ultimately exist within the same universe if you really think about it. Scream 6 gave them all super. Yeah, I agree. It's no, everyone was safe. It's like you see these shows or no one's safe, and then no one dies. But this screams like after Scream 5, I didn't feel like there were any stakes. Chad had he could have died in Scream 5. Mindy should have died in Scream. They all should have died in Scream 5 again, except for Tara and Ortega, which is a salsa.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
You think everything's
the
garbage?
series,
Come on.
the series, I mean, has definitely felt safe for the majority of films. I mean, but if you look at like 1 and 2, especially part 2, which I know I'm somehow in the minority of who fucking loves part 2, they had the balls to kill Randy, right? Fan favorite character. You know, Dewey gets cut up in the sound booth. Excellent scene. Like you didn't feel like those characters were safe. You felt like they were in danger, and you didn't really know until the very end if Dewey lived or whatever. And of course, Randy got slaughtered. But then with part 3, it kind of seemed like they were kind of playing a little safe with the main characters. And then even in part 4, I never really felt like any of them were in danger. I actually felt like Gail probably. I know that I've said that Gail should have died in 5 instead of Dewey, but I also say that Gail should have died in 4 in that barn. When she said, "Go ahead and do it, you fucker," and goes and stabs her in the shoulder. Um, but and then part 5, they got their balls back a little bit by they killed Dewey. They killed the wrong character, by the way. I can't say that enough. Um, they killed Old Dewdrop, and yeah, and then in part 6, it was like there's like a hint of the sort of the danger there, and there's like elements of that movie that are really intense, where you're like, oh shit, maybe these people aren't safe, but then they just play it safe by having all of them live. I really in part 6, I liked by the end, I did like Chad's character, and I felt like if he died in that scene where he was getting stabbed by 2 ghost faces, it would have been actually a really good moment, because like the stuff with him and Tara right before that happened, and just the way that he was kind of almost like the cheerleader for the group, naming them the core 4. Um, he should have died then. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, they play it too safe with some of the characters. So I felt like they they didn't have the balls to kill one of those 4 when they should have. At least one of them, and it should have been. I think it should have been Chad, just based on that scene alone.
Yeah, I mean, they were stabbing him multiple times, two of them at the same time, and he
It
lived.
was actually a really cool scene. It was really cool the way it was
Yeah,
done.
and he kind of
Because
sacrificed himself for Tara, and it's just like that scene in the Last Jedi. Finn was going to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the Resistance, and then Rose had to get in the way, and I just had to bring that up for
exactly.
some reason. You
No,
know,
exactly, because I felt the same way, because like when I was watching Last Jedi in the theater when it came out, I was like, ooh, this is a cool moment where you know Finn is seemingly going to his death. I thought that would have been a great moment, to get some tragedy in the story, make the audience feel something, but then they fuck it up.
No, Scream 6 is better than a lot of them, in my opinion. It's better than 3, it's better than 5, and I think it's better than 2. Uh, yeah, I think that I just think as far as Scream goes, I feel like if you have characters that are connected to other characters, shouldn't bring them back. So if Tara and Sam are not coming back, Mindy, and Chad should not come back.
I agree.
But I would also still like to explore the idea that there's a possibility that there was a third killer in the fifth movie. Mostly because I don't think that that little girl killed Dewey at all. I know she took credit for it, but no way, no fucking way. It's an honor. What? That's a great line and a great scene, but there's no way that that girl who's like 5'2" killed fucking Dewey. Uh, Chad got zero character development in Scream. He was kind of a throwaway character in Scream 5. Um, they need to just fucking retcon the title and call it Scream fucking 5. How dumb is that? I hate it so much. Anyway, in Scream 6 they gave him more, but the stabbing scene should have, yeah, he should have died, and his sister should, they both should have died. Uh, I don't want to save them for anything. I don't want they don't need to come back. We agree to disagree. I hate agree to disagree more than anything on this fucking earth. Just so you know, right? That's
Well, I mean,
people say that shit to me all the time, and I hate it. It's like we're not going to agree to disagree. We're just going to disagree.
That's true. And it's fine to disagree. It's definitely fine.
Yeah, it is fine to disagree, but I don't want to hear let's agree to disagree. I've always hated that. It's like, no, we just disagree. Period. I'm not agreeing to disagree with you.
Right. I mean, when you said that you thought Scream 6 was better than Part 2, I disagree to disagree.
No, I know you do. Most people probably would. There's something about Scream 2 that it's very, like, you know how I am with Friday the 13th Part 4, where I think it's kind of boring? I think Scream 2 is kind of boring. Like, I was like, when I was coming home from dropping some stuff off at my in-laws, I was like thinking, yeah, we're gonna talk about Scream. I'm excited, and I started thinking about, man, I kind of want to watch some of the Scream movies. Then I started thinking about 2. I was like, oh, not 2. I don't want to watch 2, and I don't know why. You know, it's like I like Cotton Weary quite a bit, you know, and I don't know, and I like Mickey. I just something about 2 that just makes me like not want to ever watch it. And 3, there's things I like about 3. Well, the smart ass detective is a lot of fun. You know, I like Patrick Dempsey's character. Yeah. Even like to this day, you feel like he's got an ulterior motive the way he talks. You know, so there's things I like. I like all the movies. It's just 2's like it's falling fast on my list. It is. It's like I always thought 2 was really great, and then I was like, well, I really love 4. You know, and you put 2 ahead of 1, and I think you're out of your mind. Because
I love Part 2, man.
I don't get it. I'll never get it. There's nothing like Part 1, though, man. Part 1's amazing. Well, I guess I didn't know what you did last summer is like Part 1, and no, in all the team movies.
Well, I mean,
Urban Legend.
I would agree from like an objective level that the first Scream is easily the best of the series. Just from a subjective level, though, like I love Part 2 a lot, and if you want to know my thoughts on why I love Part 2 a lot, go to our YouTube channel. We did a whole episode. We've covered the entire series before, and I think I explained my piece of Part 2. But I love Part 2 a lot. I'll leave it at that. And Part 3 isn't bad either. Like this is like one of those series where it's like I enjoy every single one of them.
Yeah. Like Evil Dead.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I agree with you. Sean on this definitely, because whenever they revealed the killers, I was like, I felt so deflated after that. I was like, oh.
It lost momentum at that point because of like the way that it was explained was just so ridiculous.
I said they should make him a killer.
Um, I forgot what I was saying now. Oh yeah, the whole reveal of the killers thing. And I've said it before on one of our shows that it would have just made so much more sense if the Kirsch family actually believed that Richie was manipulated by Sam, as opposed to knowing that he was a piece of shit and just trying to kill Sam's reputation anyway. Like it would have been so much better if they actually believed the rumors as opposed to being the ones to start them. Again, we've covered Scream 6, and I've mentioned that before. Check out our YouTube if you want our full thoughts.
Subscribe. We lost a subscriber today while we were been live. We're at 2 or 4. We're 11 away now. Son of a bitch.
Oh, really? We lost one while we went live?
I guess I don't know. We're at 1489. It's probably because I'm an asshole. Yeah, Scream. It is like it is a great series, and I feel the same way you do. Where I like pretty much every one of them, but for some reason, Scream 2 is a task to watch. Just like Friday the 13th Part 4 is a task for me to watch, even though it's almost everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
Except for the people who are right in the head and say Jason Lives is, me being one of them.
No, this is a sign that you need to get some medical attention, right?
Need to find Jesus is what I need to find.
You need to. The computer says you're a dead fuck. By the way.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I should really watch that movie and write down every problem I have with it. There's something about it. It's a 90-minute movie that feels like it's 3 hours long. That's not good in my opinion. And that's the other thing about Scream 2. It seems like it takes forever. And it's like you get to a certain point, and you're like, oh, we're getting close to the end, and then all of a sudden, Derek gets captured or whatever. It's like, oh, come on, I forgot about that. That's how I feel watching that sometimes. There's a lot of good stuff. Like most of the stuff that I like, I think once Randy dies in that movie, I don't give a shit almost at all anymore. Because Randy, even to this day, is the best part of Scream 2. So, in my opinion,
100%. And again, I respect I hate it, but I respect the fuck out of it. That decision to kill him.
I would have rather they kill Sidney than Randy. That makes no sense. I just love I love Randy and his character is one of the best in the series. Bailey swapping his daughter's body with a fresh one. That was stupid too. There are a lot of dumb things that happen in Scream 6.
Oh, there are, and the reveal of the killers is given away pretty early on. Not only with the dialogue between Bailey's daughter, but also like the moment he comes out of the building fake crying, it's like that's a dead giveaway. You could tell he's faking,
Yeah, and he's too good of an actor in real life. Like the actor is a really good actor to be fake acting that way. And that the one line that he says, "Nobody kills one of my kids and gets away with," or some shit like that. It's like, oh, okay, calm down. But you do have to admit that some of the Ghostface stuff in Scream 6 is awesome. Like the bodega scene is really great. The ladder scene's really good. There's some cool stuff in the movie overall.
I think it has some legit intense moments, and I actually really dig the city setting. I wish they explored it a little bit more, but there's some good moments because of it. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous that what's his face had a ladder in his apartment, but that whole scene was great, and I'll say it every time we talk about that movie. Reminded me of Judgment Night. And it's a goddamn shame that Chad was not one of the ones to go across the ladder because of his father's character in Judgment Night.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen Judgment Night in a long time, but I do remember it quite well. I actually remember it better than the Phantasm movies, and I haven't seen it in 20 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't understand what yesterday when I messaged you, I was like, I'm having a mental block of the Phantasm movies all of a sudden. But you tell me about Judgment Night, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a fun ass movie. I rented that blind rented it when I was like 12 or 13. Well, actually, my mom did. She's like, oh, I got bowling tonight, and I know you don't want to go, so I rented you some movies, and that was one of them. And that was the last one I watched. I'm like, should have watched this before fucking Cool Runnings.
I uh I used to watch that movie all the time when I was a kid, and then I got it on DVD.
Is it streaming anywhere?
I'm not sure. I got the Blu-ray of it. There's a Blu-ray out. I think I got the Blu-ray through that Warner Brothers sale thing. I remember a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, it's on Tubi.
Yeah, and then,
Oh,
but
it's
I
on
think
Prime.
I saw that there's an even newer Blu-ray that's coming out. I think soon, like an actual good collector's edition type.
Mm-hmm.
But I show it to people occasionally when people do come over once in a blue moon. I showed it to my friend Josh.
The movie or just the Blu-ray? Like, this is my Judgment Night Blu-ray.
Well, smartass.
And then you'll put it back. Welcome to my house. This is Judgment Night on Blu-ray.
Come over. You want to see a movie? All right, here's the movie. You see it?
There you go. There it is.
And I'll fuck off and get out of here.
Yeah. All right, leave. Yeah, I remember the ending of that movie being so fucking like tense. Like just the last like 15 minutes or so. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna go back through the Scream movies at the top of the year and kind of really make my solid ranking because I'm not. The last time I did it, I guess it was right after Scream 6 came out when we did the show, right?
Yeah,
and I was still kind of on a high from Scream 6. So I think I now that we're a year away.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. She may have. I have to look at that. Just walked in. Judgment
kind of
Night. Excellent movie. Yeah, it is an excellent movie.
Yeah.
Now stay and hang out. Yeah, I need to probably just go ahead and buy that one. Judgment Night is one of those strange movies that feels like it should have vampires or some supernatural. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. I'm gonna look on Amazon real fast. See how much that bad boy costs. Epic deals for Black Friday. Judgment Night gonna be on sale. Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about with this whole Scream situation?
No, I've said my piece, and I think my attitude of it is probably the reason why we lost a subscriber.
I've noticed that a lot of people are kind of like broken up. Like, this is a sad day for the Scream franchise. And in some ways, I guess it kind of is because, they set these characters up over the last 2 years and, the whole thing, their setup's gone. But again, like at the end of Scream 2, for instance, it didn't feel like it was a finale, a final end. I'm French all of a sudden. It's a finale. It didn't feel like it was a final end to the story. It felt like there would be at least another movie. In this movie, you could walk out of Scream 6 and say, well, that's good. This is all over. It's resolved, And again, I feel like everything that had to do with that fucking shrine, which was awesome. And then, I mean, this was a great way to wrap up the Loomis saga, if you will, that we could call it that, of the Scream franchise, and then start something new with Scream 7. This is where you go back and title the movie Scream instead of Scream 5 like fucking idiots. Oh, let's be funny and call it Scream. Just call it Scream 5, you dick faces. It's in the continuity. Just like Halloween 2018. I could go on forever about this. Stop me, Seth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get why they did it, right? They were trying to be cute, making fun of that trend by doing it. But just, it should have been Scream with Roman numeral 5.
Agreed.
And that's the way that's the way that I refer to it. I will not call it Scream. I will not call it Scream 2022. I will call it Scream 5 because it is exactly Scream 5.
Same here. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So I got to ask: is this from best to worst? The only reason I ask is because Scream 3 is very high on that list. If it's best to worst, which I'm fine with, because that's you don't see that very often.
Well,
Scream 3 seems to always be permanently at the end of everybody's list.
oh, I've seen differently, sir.
Have you?
Uh, in,
I'm not in Scream groups, so
in that one that I was in, before
yes, he
today,
would have. Read that comment and tell me if that's true. I agree.
of course,
Yeah,
and he's an asshole.
and he's an asshole.
Um,
Yep.
Shit, what was it? Oh, but yes, I've seen a lot of
Mm.
there's a lot of people I've seen who put Scream 3 as their number one. I've seen a lot of people defend the fuck out of Scream 3, and it's weird because like for so many years it was like it seemed like there's a lot of people that were on my side with part two, but then slowly it started going backwards. So now I see more people trashing part two and praising part three. And
I
I
wonder
will
what
say though,
changed.
I have no idea. Just over the years, people discovering it. But I will say that Scream 3 did have a great, solid ending to the Sydney, Dewey, and Gale characters.
We did,
Um, if that was the last we saw of them, it would have been a perfect ending.
and it
Like
was for a decade. It
it
was a
was, yeah,
solid trilogy, and then they fucked it up by let's make another one, and they're going to make another trilogy, and
yeah,
that got fucked up because Scream 4 didn't make enough. But I do love Scream 4 quite a bit. That's like one of my favorites of the franchise. So Jordan says that Scream 3 is his favorite. I
yeah.
like your attitude. I like the energy you're putting out there because like one of the things about Scream 3 that I think kind of goes overlooked, and most people try to find, and we even talked about it tonight, a way for Roman to not be the only killer. But you got to give him credit.
Hmm.
He did all of the lifting, not just the heavy lifting. Like I feel like Billy was the brains guy, and he did his fair share of work in the first movie. But Stu probably did all the heavy lifting. Mickey did all the heavy lifting in two. Roman did all the fucking lifting in three. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was the only killer, and he did everything. And he's almost like Palpatine of the franchise in a way because they retconned Billy and Stu, and you look like you're going to disagree with me, but he's the puppet master, just like
He
Palpatine.
is. He is. The only thing I was going to say was is that okay? I enjoy quite a bit of part three. Right, I do not hate part three at all. There's quite a bit that I do enjoy. I especially enjoy, again, like I mentioned, Roman being a sort of a tribute of sorts um, to Freddie, right, being the bastard son of 100 Hollywood executives, and I liked the conclusion. The way that it kind of wrapped up the story
Mm-hmm.
for all the characters. Dewey and Gale finding their love, blah blah blah. Uh, Sydney being able to not lock her door, not be afraid anymore. It felt final. Now and I hated killing Cotton in the beginning, and I strongly disagree that there was only one killer. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing that drives me, the thing that I don't like the most about Scream 3 is the writing, because I felt like Aaron Kruger, the screenwriter, did not understand Scream. Or maybe he did. I mean, I understand that, apparently Kevin Williamson had a treatment for part three, and that because of the whole Columbine thing, the studio wanted more adult characters and kind of get away from some of the stuff. But it just feels sort of out of place in the series with the way that it was written. It's more of a cop thriller. There's an explosion. Like it's just the dialogue isn't great. It doesn't necessarily feel like Scream in a lot of ways. It felt more like a parody of Scream. in a way, it almost felt like it was a Stab movie. It felt like I was watching Stab 3 as opposed to Scream 3. Um, yeah, so, you know, I have no problem with people who say that Scream 3 is their favorite or put it up high. Again, I don't have a problem with people who disagree with my opinions. That's fine. It's just weird to me.
I think the worst part about Scream 3, in my opinion, is Gail's haircut. I'm just
That's the
gonna,
scariest thing.
throw that out there.
It's the scariest thing for sure.
Having a one-eyed weary, living in hiding after Scream 3, come back in the last film to finish the story that started with him. Yeah, but all he cared about was fame, really. So I don't know. I like Kurt.
Well, he was
I would
stabbed
love for
directly
Kurt
in
to come
the
back
in the
in the chest.
he was stabbed in the heart, wasn't he? Yeah.
I don't. I think so. I don't remember. I do love the opening of Scream 3 also with Cotton and his girlfriend Christine and all that. I thought it was pretty good. The cold openings are really good. I always said I was going to rank all those, but I never did. Gail's
It would
hair.
have been a great it would have been a great scene if, especially if it wasn't Cotton. Like, what if it was David Schwimmer, right? The actor who
Mhm.
plays Dewey in Stab, something like that. Like if it was something like that, I think that'd be kind of fun. But the Cotton character, with the way that they built him up with part two, especially, and with the way that his character ended, and I don't know, just like I felt like I don't mind him dying in Scream 3, but it should have been later on. Sort of like Randy, where he dies like just before the third act. Like
Yeah,
build up
I
his
guess they.
character, build
I
up
guess they
his
just wanted to have
relationship,
weight
maybe with
to it.
Sydney. What's up?
I guess they just wanted more weight to it. Because if you would have just had David Schwimmer pop up at the beginning, I don't think that would have worked as well.
No, well, I'm just saying, like as an example, I didn't agree with it because I mean, Scream 2 had a opening kill where the victims weren't anyone we particularly care about. Same with part one, really. Like I feel like they should have just continued that trend with part three, going the way that it did, but with not a main character. Have it just be a random character. Maybe it's just someone who's a producer of Stab 3 or something, to kind of edge in that plot. But I just don't agree with killing Cotton so early in the movie.
I'm watching right now to see how Cotton dies because I'm curious.
Well, I know he was stabbed in the chest, and then Ghostface says, "You had one chance to tell me where Sydney is," and then there's the cut, like the killer slashes, and then along with that comes the Scream 3 title card. So you don't technically see him die,
He gets
but
nailed right in the face.
yeah,
So she gets the backstab.
yep.
I wonder if this will shut us down.
Oh, probably.
Flash on the arm. And this is Roman, right?
Yep. Right here, stab in the chest. And they cut away right before. See?
Damn, Seth.
So I guess technically he could be alive, but
Nobody's seen too many scary movies.
Yeah.
All right. That was fun. That was a little treat. I have all the Scream movies on my Voodoo account. So, anyway. All the other thing is, by the way, Jenny McCarthy was only 27 whenever she was in Scream 3. She wasn't even that old. I think they should bring Billy Loomis's dad back. Just round it out. Mr. Loomis?
Well, I
Yeah,
had
so
a
his
story
mom, and
idea.
she was a good lay, but her daughter killed my son 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I don't know. We haven't been shut down just yet, so I'm waiting for you, YouTube. Sweet. Just got a text from Helena. She's got a wiggly tooth. We tell her we can get a Sega Dreamcast. I've been showing my kids South Park lately. Oh man. Anyway, I'd be down with Mr. Lou. Yeah, what did happen with her dad? We got to see him at
He
the end of
died.
part 3. I mean, to be fair, all the parents at this point would be in their 70s.
There's
So,
a there's a there's a line in part 4 that alludes to his death.
oh really?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that's a shame. Don't forget to like this video, please, everyone watching. It helps us. We need more subscribers. 11 more gets us to 1,500. That's a huge thing for us. What's a Dreamcast? Oh, never mind. One reason I don't love Scream 2 is you never get the sense of geography of where everyone is. Cotton and Mrs. Loomis are just wandering around the school campus until the movie needs them to show up. That's a good point. Is that? Thanks, Seth. I like your idea of being the end of the Loomis saga. Thank you. It is. It's the Loomis saga. Just like Halloween 1 through 6, Scream 1 through 6 is this Loomis saga, right? Another connection to
Here's what I will say as a fan of Scream. I am sick to fucking death of hearing about Billy Loomis. He is not the only killer. He wasn't like it's funny too. Even with part 5, there's dialogue between Sydney and Gail of all people, where they talk about Billy being the one that started it all. When it's like they established in part 3 that Roman's the one that started it all, which they would have. Obviously, Sydney would have known that because she was explained that. But they need to move. They need to move away from the whole Billy thing. Like every movie has been obsessed with Billy. Really, it's. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I mean, technically, I mean, it's like one of those things. Like Charles Manson gets all the credit for.
Right.
I mean, it's not the same thing because Charles. Actually, that would make what's his name, Charles Manson, Roman. But he gets all the credit for all those killings in the 1960s and the Spawn Ranch and all that. Really, he didn't. I don't think he killed a single person. Right. And it's Billy Loomis. He if you put a face to the ghost face, it's always Billy Loomis. He was the first one to wear the costume. And I think that's why he's such an impactful character for the series. And fans know him as the first one, regardless of what Roman says. It's Billy Loomis is the first one revealed as Ghostface. And I think that's why it's like that. But I'm with you, man. I am done with Billy Loomis. I mean, it's nice. That's one of the things I like about 4. It kind of does its own thing. They mention Billy, they mention Stu, but like they pretty much try to do their own thing in many ways. And I loved Emma Roberts in that movie. And it wasn't about Billy and Stu. Like every other fucking movie was about Billy and Stu, pretty much. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm Stu, and I actually, it's funny is I think it's a lot of the female Scream fans are just in love with both of those guys, Billy and Stu. I think that's one of the big not problems, but the big things.
Yeah. Well, it's I feel like the you with Scream, with it being different people taking on the mantle of Ghostface, you have a wide variety of motivations to choose from, and it doesn't always have to be someone obsessed with Billy or Stu or connected to them or whatever. Like there's just so many different ways that they could move on from it, and just and again, one of the things I got tired of with 5 and 6 is the whole Billy thing. Um,
Well, that was like, let's throw Billy Loomis in their face. He's the face
yeah,
of Ghostface. He's the face of Scream. I thought Nev Campbell was the face of Scream.
yeah,
I don't know. Well, not anymore. Uh, got another comment here. Cobra Kai is an example of just showing that just because someone like Kreese is the first villain doesn't mean they're the most important. Terry Silver is ultimately the main villain. That's true. I know. I don't think you watched that, but yeah, he is the main villain. He financed Terry Crease, John Kreese. And I loved it. Cobra Kai. Seth, I don't know if you're a fan of Karate Kid, but Cobra Kai is how they should have made sequels to the original Star Wars movies. They did it perfectly by blending the old with the new, making it more about the new, but keeping the old relevant. Where Star Wars said, here, and Scream to many respects, fuck the old. Let's get the new in there. You know?
yeah. Well, I mean, to your analogy, Scream 5 did the Force Awakens thing
Yeah.
not not bringing the originals together for one fucking
Not
scene.
one scene. Well, not to mention Dewey is Han Solo.
Yeah, yeah.
Sydney is Luke Skywalker, and Gail is Leia. There you go.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Radio Silence, you fucking assholes. Could get one scene with all three of them together. I mean, that did bother me, especially the fact that like you got that, and it's set up through all four of the first four movies of and Randy, I believe, even says it. The big brother, and Dewey is Sydney's big brother. Period. Hard stop. Period. And they did not get to have a final goodbye. They had a phone call, but that's it. Couldn't see Sydney and Dewey, at the same time. No, Sydney shows up after Dewey's dead.
Yep.
They fucked it up. Retcon the whole thing, and let's do a real Scream 5 with the number 5. And we'll do a real Scream 6 with the number 6. Not Roman numerals. Retcon it all.
Well, I mean, technically, Roman numerals are still the numbers.
Yeah, but then what I'm saying is use the actual 6. Not the fucking, because the first movies, Scream 2, 3, 4, then Scream. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the deal. Remember, in Scream 4, in the beginning,
dude, I love Karate Kid 3.
In the beginning of Scream 4, the characters were talking about the stab movies, and one of the stab movies they mentioned time travel. So you do a Scream movie that sets up time travel, and then it erases the events of 5 and 6. We get the originals back with a whole new path.
I'm in. You son of a bitch, I'm in. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the whole idea of I feel bad for the director because he was probably stoked. Oh, I get to make a Scream movie. I get to follow one of the most one of the highest grossing Scream movies of all time. And you got to think with Scream as a franchise, there's this momentum that hasn't been seen since 1998. 1997. I mean, they took 2 years off between movies, which I do think they should postpone the release date because it's supposed to come out sometime next year, right? I think it should be 2025. Or shit, push it back to 2026 and make it 30 years from the original.
I think it's coming out in 2025.
I thought it was 2024, but anyway, I'm just saying.
Originally, I think because of the strikes,
Yeah.
they've had to move. They're going to start filming in, I think, March of 2024, or they're planning on it.
I wonder why
But,
they waited so long.
well, the strikes happened in May. I mean, the Scream 6 was released in what, March
Yeah, but
or February?
they had Scream 6 ready to go, and they started shooting everything really early in 2022 after Scream 5 was a success. So it makes me wonder if like why this one, uh,
It
you
took
know,
months. They started in, I think, in the summer. So it was a few months after the release of Scream 5. Because I mean, you
but
gotta figure they gotta get a script. They gotta do several drafts of a script. They gotta get, approval, producers notes, retool the script, cast in the whole process, and then with Scream 7 too. You know, I think the question was, is could Radio Silence do it? Because they moved on to do a Universal monster movie, which is rumored to be Dracula's daughter, which also stars Melissa Berrera apparently in it.
not anymore.
Well, they shot most of the movie, I believe, before the strikes happened, and then the strikes happened. So yeah, lots of, not to mention too, get in Christopher Landon, like, and again, you got to consider too, like, things don't happen at the time that the announcements are made to the public. A lot of things happen in advance and with scheduled announcement, press releases, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, between from Scream 5 to Scream 6, the turnaround was very 1980s. Think about it.
It was it was pretty fast, yeah. But again, too, though, is because you had from Scream 5 to Scream 6, the Radio Silence team didn't do another film in between. Whereas after they completed Scream 6, they were already starting on a different project for Universal, which would have, if they were to come back for 7, it would have held them back, and like, maybe there was some hemming and hawing of whether or not they would want to wait for their schedule to be free up. And, then it was a matter of they saying that they would pass on it. So then there was the whole process of trying to find a new director, like the process is very different between Scream 5 and Scream 6 and Scream 6 and Scream 7, just because of the change in the creatives behind the camera.
Yeah, maybe. I still think they could have done it even without what you're saying, because how did they do that shit in the 1980s? Friday the 13th, 7, 8 came out 1 year for apart. I mean, they did not the first one, second one, I don't know, Elm Street movies, Halloween movies. They did them all fucking back to back to back.
Right, but I mean,
shit. Yeah. They're gonna lose if they release this movie in 2025. They're gonna lose a lot of the momentum they had going in, and now people are saying they're gonna boycott. But I like this idea. Stu goes into the TV and it's connected to Shocker that way, another Wes Craven film, and Stu is stuck with Horace Pinker. I hate Shocker. I think that movie's stupid, big time. Anyway, so yeah, maybe Scream's fucked. Maybe maybe they're gonna have to retool the whole thing and it'll get pushed back even further.
I don't think they're fucked. I don't think they're fucked at all. I don't take any of the boycotting things seriously, because
no, by the time that movie comes out, people will probably have forgotten by then. If this would have happened weeks before the release, then they boycott it. But yeah,
even leading up to Part 6, people were talking about boycotting Part 6 because of Nev, because that whole situation with her. the whole situation with Nev Campbell not getting paid and
Oh,
not being in part 6. People were saying they're going to boycott the movie.
it's a minority of people, for sure.
Exactly. There's a lot of mouthpieces on social media.
Yeah.
And not to mention too is like there's nothing wrong with sequels having some time in between. Like I feel like yeah, we've seen it in the 1980s with like the Friday 13th series, but that's how they exhausted their franchise really. You know, by the time you get to 1989, like it was exhausted. Taking time in between, you have people sort of anticipating more. You know, I just don't get the problem. I mean, I've seen the same thing with like Matt Reeves, the Batman 2, you know, being 3 years after the Batman was released. And it's like, that's every single Batman film almost. It's been 3 years in between. Like,
With the exception of
yeah,
Batman and Robin,
right.
which was rushed into production. So,
Which could have used more time.
but
Yeah.
also you're also comparing giant budgets versus Scream. You know, where movies like that do take that long to make. Although Marvel shits out 3 movies a year, so I don't know.
Well, exactly. They shit them out. But like, I mean, I'm not just comparing like the big budget stuff. I'm just saying like, I mean, even with Friday the 13th, you know, like, you know, because these films that they don't take a lot to get made. You can shoot a Scream movie or a Halloween movie or a Friday the 13th movie and release it the same year you shot it. It's been proven. They've done it with many different stuff. But like, I just disagree with the franchise being dead or that they're going to lose momentum for not releasing immediately a year later. I don't see anything wrong with having a, a, a year gap in between.
Yeah, and somebody like Melissa Berrera, um, and even Jenna Ortega, who does have a lot of clout these days, I don't think they could halt, you know, an entire franchise that's been around since before both of them were born. Well, no, that's not true. Berrera is a lot older than you'd think. She's in her mid 30s now. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah, no way.
Honestly, part of me doesn't even give a shit at this point anymore. I think Scream, if there was never another Scream movie, I'd be fine. I felt that way in 2000 after Scream 3, and I felt that way after Scream 4. I'm a big fan of these movies. Don't get me wrong, but I think 5 and 6 were pretty fun, and 6 was a very good ending to the rest of the franchise. The worst part about it is there was no Sydney resolution. You know, there was a throwaway line, "Oh, Sydney sends her love," but other than
Yeah,
that, I think it would be a fitting end to the entire franchise.
yeah.
So if Scream 7 happens or doesn't happen, I'll be there if it happens. If it doesn't, I'm not going to cry. I mean, I've been sitting here without my favorite franchise for almost 3 decades. So
Star Wars.
that'd be 4. No, no, I like the prequels. No, and no. I was Elm's my favorite horror franchise. I should have said
I know.
Elm Street. We haven't had a new Elm Street movie since 1992 or 91 when Freddy's Dead came out. I mean, Wes Craven's New Nightmare doesn't count. The remake barely counts, and then Freddy vs. Jason doesn't count. So, like, because when I say that, I mean mainline Scream 1 through 6. It's a long running franchise. Elm Street ended with Freddy's Dead. The remake doesn't count in the main timeline or whatever, and that's what I mean by that. And we've gotten some stuff, but it's not good enough. I really don't like Freddy's versus Jason at all.
Really?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
it's a shit movie. It's garbage. It really is. Okay, let's just wrap this one up for the
I thought
night.
you
I'm
loved
gonna.
it. It's weird.
No, I hate it. You know how I feel about it. Let's wrap this show up because I gotta go. Still gotta make one last late night run to the store for pie, and I gotta see if the store is even open still. I start typing in Scream on my fucking phone.
Already.
to see if Walmart's open. Anyway, so if you're wondering, oh, they close at 11. Hold on, is that the right one? 11, yeah. If you're wondering why we didn't cover Phantasm 3, 4, and 5, because I know that you are, we'll be covering that next Wednesday along with our ranking show. Two different shows next week on Wednesday, so that'll be fun. Maybe they could pay Nev enough money so she come back or do a jump to the future and concentrate on Sydney Schism. Maybe. I think anything is a possibility at this point, except for having Berrera and Ortega. I mean, Ortega could come back at some point because it has nothing to do with Berrera. But thanks, Travis. Thanks for coming out. Jolene, Joran, Sean, and anyone who else watches the show, thanks for hanging out with us. If you've never seen the Phantasm movies, it's Thanksgiving weekend. Time to check them out. And of course, starting in December, we'll be talking about An American Werewolf in London, Seth's favorite horror movie
Yes,
of all time.
you got it.
And it's unranked on my list. It's nowhere on my list as far as the favorites go. No offense.
Son of a bitch.
Well, actually, I on my top 33 horror movies of all time, not a single werewolf movie on that list. So,
fucking traitor.
I'm a trader, not a traitor. I trade stuff. But then, of course, well, I take it back. There is a werewolf movie on there. It's the following week, An American Werewolf in Paris. That's my number 2 movie of all time. How about that? No. But we'll be talking about An American Werewolf in Paris. That should be a fun show. And then Life Force and Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. That's going to wrap us up for the entire year of 2023. If you like what we've done here and you missed anything, check our YouTube channel out. Go subscribe. We've got all the Scream movies we did episodes for. We did all Friday the 13th, Elm Street. We just finished all the Halloween movies, Texas Chainsaw movies, now the Phantasm movies, Silent Night, Deadly Night. We did a whole episode, which we'll share again on our YouTube and our Facebook and website when that's back to working the right way. We've done a lot of shit, man.
Yeah.
All of them are shit. No. Yeah, and then at some point, maybe Discourse will come back, our Sunday night show. Who knows? So, Seth, any more you want to say about Scream's future?
I will just say I'm not worried about it.
Neither am I.
I'm not tied to these new characters. If they come back, fine. If they don't, fine. Don't care. I'll still be there when Scream 7 is released, no matter what direction they go in. And I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing what Christopher Landon can bring to the series. And I just kind of, while a lot of fans I've seen are sort of doom and gloom about this whole thing with not having the Sam and Tara characters, I'm more optimistic about what it could mean for the series going forward. And I think it could be for the better. And we probably just lost another couple subscribers since I said that. But
who cares? Anyway, all right. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Even if it doesn't come back, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So have a great night. Have a happy Thanksgiving for those who celebrate Thanksgiving. If you don't, you're probably not from America. If you don't, and you're American, cool. Eat some pizza. Seth, happy Thanksgiving, man. I will talk to you later.
Yep.
And we will see you guys next week. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving or a Thursday. Bye.